Hello, I'm Ryan Mosser. That is one of my best friends and co-host David Cahoon. This is the Commissioner's Couch podcast. Come on in, take a seat. Let's talk some fantasy football. Um, as always, we are sponsored by Inside Edge Network and LVP Productions, and also MosserMomentsPhotography.com. MOSSOR Moments for Photography. They're a husband and wife photography team based out of Cleveland. It's me and my wife. We're awesome. Check us out.
They are awesome.
Um,
Hey, welcome back, man.
Thanks, man. It's been a while. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
missed the last two episodes. I had a death in the family 2 weeks ago, which was unfortunate, and then this week, my wife and I had our third child, our third boy. So that's really exciting. Really, really grateful. Both are healthy and doing really great. So I'm very, very, very grateful. God is good.
Yeah, congrats, man. Happy for you guys.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to go over the Week 16 injury report for me?
I would love to.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, this week's injury report is a little bit lengthy, so I'm gonna try my best to get through it as quickly as
This whole
possible.
year has been lengthy, man. It's been
I
crazy.
know. Here we go. So, hold on. They changed up things on my website here.
You're good. While he's looking at that, I will mention there are no buys this week and none for the rest of the season, so you don't have to worry about that, which is great. I'll go over just real quick. Right now is the playoffs for fantasy football. Clearly, week 16 is usually second round of the playoffs. Some people it's the first round, but you only have a few more weeks left. So I just wanted to go over a few teams that have the most favorable fantasy football matchups for the playoffs that I've noticed. First one would be the Patriots. This week to play the Ravens, who are the 24th overall defense. 17th, the Jets. And they have the 17th overall defense. And the week 18, the Dolphins, 19th overall defense. So if you have any Patriots players, you might be in for some good scoring here late in the playoffs. Buccaneers as well. They play the Panthers, 18th overall defense. Dolphins, 19th overall defense, and then Panthers again, 18th overall defense once again. So Mike Evans, Baker, Bucky, those guys probably going to have some really good games coming up. Again, the Commanders, not that great of an offense, but nonetheless, they play the Eagles, have the 21st overall defense. The Cowboys are 29th overall defense, and then the Eagles again, 21st overall defense. So maybe some of your guys will flash there as well. And then one more I had were the Giants. This week they play the Vikings, which is the 8th overall defense. So, that's a tough matchup. But then they play the Raiders, 16th overall defense, and then the Cowboys, 29th overall defense. So you might be able to stream some guys from the Giants there as well. Maybe Wandell, maybe Tyron Tracy, Jackson Dart, guys like that. So
Yeah. One thing to also keep in mind of now that we're in the fantasy football playoffs, and I know some leagues are even in their championship already.
Yeah.
Some championships do 2 weeks worth of games to have their championship played. So if you're in one of those leagues like I am, and I'm in the championship, go ahead and think in advance of some matchups that you want to take advantage of. Hit the waiver wire early, like this week for next week, so that way you can get those guys before the other player can. So think ahead. And anyway, I have the injury report up for week 16 if you're ready.
Let's do it, brother.
All right. So quarterbacks, we had some big injuries to quarterbacks this week. We'll start off with the biggest one. Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL, out for the season. Next year looks questionable to start. We'll see what happens. He just had surgery, I think, on Tuesday, so yesterday. It all went well according to doctors and reports. But yeah, that's a big bummer for the Chiefs. He goes out for the season. They miss the playoffs. If you're a Chiefs fan, I don't really feel sorry if I'm being honest, but
me neither. I feel bad for his injury, clearly.
I do too. Yes,
I don't feel bad for the demise of your team. So
yes, exactly. Speaking of other quarterbacks that are out for the season, Jaden Daniels hurt his elbow again. They just decided to shut him down. They don't have anything they're playing for, so I think it makes the most sense. Shut him down and get him ready for next year. Tyrod Taylor has a groin injury, is questionable, and Lamar Jackson popped up on the injury report with the flu. He'll probably still play, just missed yesterday and today's practice. I'm assuming he'll probably play or practice tomorrow and then a little bit on Friday, but he'll be good to go. Running backs, Alvin Kamara has a knee injury, is listed as questionable. I think that the Saints are going to try and get him out there to play because they really have nobody else since Devin Neal is out with a hamstring, ruled out today. So Saquon Barkley has a stinger. He was out of practice yesterday, but practiced today, limited. So it looks like he'll give it a go next week. Javonte Williams, questionable with a neck injury. I don't think he practiced yesterday or today, so that's one to monitor towards the end of the week. Woody Marks, questionable with an ankle. I think he'll play because he had the same designation last week. Chris Rodriguez, same thing with a groin. He was questionable last week, played. I think he'll do the same thing this week. Nick Chubb has a rib injury. He did not play last week. I also don't know what this week will look like, so it's questionable for now. Bam Knight from the Cardinals put on IR this week with his ankle injury. So, yeah, he's out for now for the rest of the year, and don't know what the future holds with him. Dylan Sampson still questionable with a calf, and Bashal Tutin has been listed as out for this week for the Jaguars. So his finger is left him out of the game.
Yeah.
Those were all the running backs. Wide receivers, Drake London is questionable with a knee. Looks like he's probably going to push to play. This was the week that they were designating him to return from, so looks likely that he'll play. Rashee Rice has a concussion, is listed as questionable. Devonta Adams has a hamstring injury, has not practiced all week, also listed as questionable. I would consider that one to be doubtful. I think they want to rest him up for the playoffs, so I would not be surprised if they give him a little bit of a shutdown here before the end of the season. Marvin Harrison Jr. has a heel injury, is listed as questionable. CeeDee Lamb is not out. He's questionable with illness. I think he'll give it a go. T. Higgins still in the concussion protocol, listed as questionable. Garrett Wilson looking to maybe come off of IR with his knee injury, listed as questionable. We'll see. Nice. I know he practiced limited yesterday. I didn't see anything today. Roman Dunze with a foot injury. He was going to go play last week against the Browns, but during warm-ups, he re-aggravated the foot injury, is now listed as questionable. So we'll see. One to monitor. Quentin Johnston, groin injury, for the Chargers, listed as questionable. I think he'll tough it out and play. Pat Bryant has a hamstring injury, questionable. He did not play last week. I'm assuming probably doubtful for this week. Luther Burden has an ankle injury as well, so there's two Bears wide receivers that are maybe down for this week. Listed as questionable. Christian Watson has a chest injury. He did return to practice today, so it looks positive there for him. And then Ricky Pearsall, ankle and knee, does not look good for him. Looks listed as doubtful.
He's falling apart, man.
Yeah, that whole wide receiver core really has this year for the Niners. So, and then the tight ends, there's only a few of them. So Mason Taylor, questionable with a neck. Cade Otton, questionable with a knee. And David Njoku, questionable with a knee as well. So that is your lineup of injuries this week.
Yeah, lots of unfortunate injuries, especially late in the season. A lot of guys are just getting shut down, which kind of sucks as well. But that's what happens when you play football. It's a physical sport. All right. What?
I was just going to say, yeah, that's it.
All right. We're going to jump into our first segment, Hunks and Skunks. I have not been here the last few weeks because of family things. So David will go over his last week's Hunks real quick.
Yeah, so last week, I'm trying to remember if I got them written down. I think I do. Last week, I put Quinshon Judkins as a hunk, if I remember correctly. He had 91 yards, 14.4 fantasy points. And then I had Jackson Smith-Njigba as a hunk as well. Last week, he did not do very well. I don't know how the Seahawks team barely beat the Colts, sorry. And so, yeah, he did not place up to his potential that I was hoping for that matchup. And then the Skunks that I had Brock Purdy. He played okay last week. And then I mistakenly put Trevor Lawrence on the Skunks list last week, and he's been tearing it up. And so, I think it's a shocker there for that one. But, yeah, those are my hunks and skunks that I had last week.
All right, let's do your first hunk go into your first two hunks for this week.
My first hunk for this week. Are you ready for it? I have none other than I'm going to say Phillip Rivers. I feel like this is just one you have to talk about this week. Old Man River came off the couch, literally looks like an old man, 45 years old. He's a grandpa now. Came off the couch and looked really competent, compared to a lot of other quarterbacks in this league. And as Browns fans, we've been looking at a lot. He actually looked competent. I think that they did make things a little bit easier on him this week, just kind of got him into the rhythm of the system and everything that he already knows. But yeah, he looked competent, made the game very competitive, and played decently well. Fantasy-wise, he didn't light it up, but for his first game back in 3 years from the NFL,
5.
5 years, yeah, even more. Like he looked good. So excited to see what happens. They might make a good playoff push here for the Colts. So yeah, something to watch. And yeah, he's my first hunk because not many people can do that. Him and Joe Flacco. Those are like the only people that I can think of.
Tim Brady.
3 people coming off the couch as grandpas and playing. So
no, what I heard about Rivers too is allegedly the insurance for the NFL runs up after 5 years as well. So he got back into the NFL to renew that right before that expired, and he's got like 10 kids. So that's a perfect loophole. So
that's amazing.
So pretty smart there from that man. So
good for him.
Yeah. All right, I'll do my first hunk.
Yeah,
my first hunk for the week 16, is Tyrone Tracy versus the Vikings. Projected 10.54 points. Since the unfortunate injury of Cam Skadbu week 8, Tracy has been the lead back for the Giants, splitting time with Devin Singletary. Clearly, from weeks 19 to 14, Tracy's ran the ball 83 times compared to Singletary's 63 times. 345 rushes for Tracy. 345 yards for Tracy, and only 235 for Singletary in the same time span. However, last week the tide seemed to maybe turn versus the Commanders. Tracy finally saw the bulk of the workload since Skadbu's been gone. He had 76% snap percentage, ran the ball 15 times for 70 yards and a touchdown. Also had 3 catches for 27 yards and another receiving touchdown. 24.7 fantasy points compared to Singletary, who had 5 rushes for 13 yards and 1 catch for 1 yard, not even 3 fantasy points. It's clear to say that Tyrone Tracy's backfield is his for the rest of the year. This week the Giants play the Vikings. Vikings have the 22nd worst rushing defense after 15 games so far. They allow an average 126.8 rushing yards per game and 11 touchdowns this season on the ground. There's plenty of opportunity for Tyrone Tracy to pick up right where he left off last week, not to mention, that he has a favorable fantasy football playoff schedule. Vikings 22nd rush defense, Raiders 16th, and then Cowboys 20th. This is a great time for Tyrone Tracy to take control of the backfield. He could, definitely be a fantasy playoff hunk. So he's my week 16 hunk.
Yeah, I love that. I made the mistake and picked up Devin Singletary last week in one of my leagues, and Tyrone Tracy said, "You're a fool." So regretting that one, but that's okay. My second hunk that I've got for this week would be Christian McCaffrey. He is somebody who has just dominated all season, and for some reason, I feel like you and I have barely talked about. So it's time to give him his flowers. He is the running back 1 on the season. He is both dynamic in the rushing game and the passing game for the 49ers. To be honest, though, he's kind of just been their whole offense. They've been dealing with injuries, and he's been the one consistent piece for them all year. So he, as of recently, has been the running back 1, running back 2, running back 1, running back 10, or running back 12, and running back 14 in the last 5 weeks alone. So he is just dynamic, awesome. He deserves a start. He's going up against the Indianapolis Colts this week, who are fighting for their playoff lives, and so I expect that game to be pretty close. I expect Christian McCaffrey to be a big piece of that game moving forward. Their rushing defense is pretty good, but they are a little bit weak in the passing game, and so I still expect Christian McCaffrey to get a lot of targets, a lot of checkdowns, to be somebody that scores the ball a lot. So I think he's a hunk, and if you have him, you got to ride him in the playoffs because he's gotten you here. So.
He has 922 rushing yards and 820 receiving yards as a running back. That's a cheat code, especially PPR. He's clearly the RB1, and he's got more receiving yards than I think he's got 300 more than Jerry Jeudy, which is saying something.
Insane.
So,
wow.
Woo, fun. So, all right. I'll go into my week 16 second hunk. It is Nico Collins versus the Raiders, projected 15.86 fantasy points. Since coming back from his concussion, he's sustained week 7. Nico Collins has been an absolute animal, absolutely crazy. 38 catches, 662 yards, 3 touchdowns, 135.9 fantasy points in his last 7 games. Not only that, but his last 3 games that CJ Stroud has been back from injury, he's looked like he's been back to form. Stroud has been 59 of 95 for 739 and 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. it sure looks like Houston has their QB1 back. At least small sample size is 3 games, but it's a great turnaround compared to what we saw earlier in the season, and that's fantastic news for Nico Collins owners. This week the Texans play the Raiders. The Raiders have the 17th ranked passing defense. Nico's projected 15.86 fantasy points this week. His average points scored in his last 7 games played is 19.4, and only one time in those 7 games has he not reached his projected points. The other 7, he's smashed the production. I'm betting this week that, versus a below average Raiders pass defense, this is going to be one of those weeks where he smashes his projection again. That's why I have him as my second hunk for the week 16.
Yeah, that's good. I like that a lot. He has been so dynamic and
lighten it up.
Yeah. All right, skunk time?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, my first skunk. I feel like I've been pounding the table for this guy as a skunk, and now that we're in the playoffs, I'm going to continue to pound the table. Do not play Lamar Jackson.
I already knew you were going to say Lamar Jackson.
Look, he is super talented. He's super competitive. He's just not himself right now. And I know that there's players out there who have made the playoffs, even got a bye, and they have him on their team. Don't play him. He's not going to get you any good points. Last week, he was the quarterback 20 on the week. He only threw the ball 12 times.
Yeah.
I repeat, 12 times. 8 of 12 for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He just does not look like himself. He only had 2 rushes on top of that. So, all in all, I can't trust him down this playoff stretch. I would pick anybody else up and start him. Like, pick Tyler Shuck up off the waiver wire and start him over Lamar Jackson at this point. He's just that unreliable. And yeah, I know. I hopefully hope that a certain somebody in our dynasty league is listening because I want him to win. Please do not start Lamar Jackson. So.
Oh, Joe. Sorry, I had to think. I thought you were talking about Shane. I was like, why would you want Shane to win? Freddie traded him. Okay. Yeah. True that. Don't start him, Joe. Please. We want you to win.
Please.
All right. My skunk for week 16. First one, Joe Burrow versus the Dolphins, projected 18.89 fantasy points. What? The golden child of the NFL? No way. I don't know, guys. Some people are saying that he might be done. Some might say that he's one hit away from his career turning into Andrew Luck's career. There's a conversation in our Dynasty League about that this week. I'm not necessarily saying that, but his situation does have me concerned. I understand that the Bengals have 2 of the top receivers in the NFL, but they also have a bottom 5 offensive line excuse me, I cannot talk today. It's been a couple weeks. They also have a bottom 5 offensive line in the league, and they also have the absolute worst defense in the NFL. That means that Joe Burrow and his offense is going to be on the field a lot, and his bad offensive line continues to gain wear and tear on their bodies throughout the game. That's not good for Joe Burrow. In his 3 games played since coming back from his injury, he sustained week 2. Burrow has been pretty average. 74 of 121, 770 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, only 50 fantasy points. Last week versus the Ravens, who have the 24th ranked defense, Burrow went 35 of 39 for 225 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, only 6.5 fantasy points. This week, the Bengals play the Dolphins. Miami has actually a good pass defense, 12th best in the NFL. I understand that the Ravens are a divisional game, and those tend to be, pretty feisty. They play differently than other games, but Burrow struggled tremendously against a bad Baltimore defense. I have a feeling that Joe Burrow's struggles continue this week and gets a much better pass defense. He's my skunk. So.
Yeah, I think that's a fair skunk, and honestly, right now it seems like there's a lot more going on either within his head or off the field than there is in the field, and I think it's just affecting his confidence and really whether or not he wants to stay in Cincinnati. And when you're having those types of doubts, it makes it hard to want to get out there and compete. So
yeah,
it sucks because he's super talented too. But
no, I agree. Yeah, it's unfortunate. They've never really bolstered an offensive line around him, and he's paid the price almost every single season. So
he has. Yes.
Yeah.
My second and last skunk for this week would be none other than George Pickens. Somebody who has kind of been the fantasy golden child halfway through this season, and then for the last 3 weeks, it's just kind of fallen off a cliff. So he was the wide receiver 17 3 weeks ago, so okay, not bad. 2 weeks ago, he was a wide receiver 36, only scoring 8.7. Okay, an off week. And then this past week, he was a wide receiver 58. He has just seemed to be tumbling down off of a cliff, and I don't know what's going on. I think the big part of that is because of Ryan Flournoy coming onto the scene for the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb looking more like himself again. And honestly, George Pickens just not playing well. He's had some significant drops that led to turnovers, had a fumble in there. Just not really playing like himself, and his yards per catch have just kind of gone down. And so at this point, it's kind of weird to see because this is a contract year for him, and you expect that he would want to continue to show out for those teams that would want to sign him. But right now, it just does not look like he's hitting on all cylinders, and somebody that I would stay away from right now for this first round or second round of the playoffs and see kind of what happens. His next matchups, this first one's a tough one against the Chargers, and then he's got Washington, the Commanders, and then the New York Giants. And so those last 2 weeks could be better, but right now I just can't trust it. So
yeah, that's valid for sure. And he's a head case, so there's true. That as well. So all right, my skunk number 2 is Lamar Jackson.
Yay, good pick.
Versus the Patriots. David also has a skunk. Projected 20.8 fantasy points. Listen, I was just talking about Joe Burrow and how some people are saying that he may be toast. I wasn't going to say that about Joe Burrow. However, I think that might be the case for Lamar Jackson here. Ever since coming back from his injury week 9, he's been absolutely terrible, like really, really terrible. 106 of 208 for 1,341 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. 40 rushes for 167 yards and a rushing touchdown. That's it. 40 rushes, 167 yards, Lamar Jackson. 101 fantasy points. Lamar, who is feared by his rushing ability, has been very bad in that department, specifically since he's been back from his injury. In his first 4 games, Lamar ran the ball 21 times for 158 yards and a touchdown. In his last 7 games back, Lamar ran the ball 40 times, 167 yards and a touchdown. He's been so inefficient in the run game, it's actually concerning. If you have Lamar on your team, he's unreliable, and I'd be very, very concerned to start him, like David was saying earlier. Last week versus the Bengals, who have the worst defense in the NFL, guys. 8 of 12, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, only 2 rushes for 26 yards. This guy is not running anymore. It's almost like he's got the yips. He's afraid. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's not going to cut it, in the fantasy football playoffs. This week, the Ravens play the New England Patriots. The Patriots have the 7th best defense in the NFL, and the 14th ranked passing defense, and the 3rd ranked best rushing defense. I think Lamar Jackson is in trouble once again this week. I think he's it's going to be bad, and he's got to be a skunk. You can't play him, guys.
Yeah. I agree on all those levels. Same reasons why I said it earlier, but I think the yips thing might actually be the most accurate take on this all. He does not seem like himself, and so the injuries he sustained. Now he's realizing, man, I am vulnerable and not invincible as I may have thought, because he's been relying on his speed and agility to avoid injury. But as he gets older, he's going to get caught more and more. So yep, and it only lasts so long. But.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Our second segment is my favorite segment, the fantasy fireworks. So I'll give the matchup that I had last week. We'll talk through that. And then you can go with your first matchup that you like this week. But this is pretty much a game that we like this week that we think will produce a lot of touchdowns and fantasy points for players that are in this matchup. Last week I had the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots, and that was one of the most electric games of the season, in all honesty. There were so many big plays that happened, so many just fun battles within the game to watch. The final score ended up being 35-31. The Bills won. So over 66 points, I think that is, total. Lots of touchdowns. The top scoring players from this game would have been both of the running backs. James Cook had 31 points. Travion Henderson had 34 points. Both of the quarterbacks played pretty well. Josh Allen had about 25 points. Drake May had 22. And the tight ends actually played pretty well too. Dawson Knox had 2 touchdowns for 18 points. And then Hunter Henry actually did not play well. He had 2.8. But still, all in all, a really good week up for that matchup. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of points that were scored. And so, yeah, I hope that you took advantage of that, because all those players that I just named would have probably won you a spot into the playoffs or your first round in the playoffs. So listen up for this week as we give our matchups. So you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll do first. So my Week 16 fantasy fireworks is the Rams versus the Seahawks, Thursday Night Football. Rams 11-3, fourth best offense, third best passing offense, and 11th best rushing offense. Just really, really, really good. And, above average defense overall, 13th best overall defense. Matthew Stafford, fourth best quarterback. Kyron Williams, ninth overall running back. Even Blake Corum's been getting in the mix here daily. David's been talking about him the last few weeks. Hopefully you listen to him. I wasn't here, or else I would have made fun of him, and then I would have looked like an idiot because he actually ended up doing really well. So thank you for that. Nonetheless, Puka Nacua, second overall receiver. We'll see if Devontae Adams does play. It's questionable right now, but he's still a top 10 receiver. And then Colby Parkinson, he's an underrated tight end, I think, 23rd overall tight end, but has 6 touchdowns in his last 6 games, 3 in his last 2. That's pretty dynamic. Against the Seahawks, again, 11-3, top 10 offense, 6 overall defense. Really, really good teams. Sam Darnold, having a resurgence year, kind of slowed down a little bit there, but JSN is the best receiver in all of football. The running game combined is decent. I think with one guy just running the ball would be a lot better. AJ Barner is an okay tight end, and then Rashid Shaheed is also a decent receiver too. Both of these teams are at the top of their division in the NFC West. Yes, the Rams have clinched the playoffs so far, but nonetheless, this is going to be a very, very competitive game. Thursday Night Football, prime time, right before Christmas. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So
yeah, that's a great matchup. I love it. It's not the one I picked, but it's a great matchup. Both of those teams are 11-3 as well, so really fighting for that top spot in the NFC.
I think the Rams clinched.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I don't think the Seahawks did yet, even though they have the same record.
Right.
I think Rams have the head-to-head matchup.
Yeah.
So my fantasy fireworks matchup this week is also an NFC division game, the NFC North, and that would be the Green Bay Packers going to Chicago to play the Bears. So this is going to be a matchup that's going to be really fun to watch as well, because they're also playing for the NFC North title to get first place in that, and also be right on the heels of the Rams and Seahawks to fight for that first place in the NFC playoff picture. And so this should be a good game to watch. I know that Micah Parsons is out for the season, tore his Achilles, or no, not his Achilles, ACL. But I think that's actually going to help this matchup more for fantasy. The defense is going to probably let up more running yards for DeAndre Swift. There's probably going to be less pressure on Caleb Williams, and he's going to throw the ball down the field more. Roma Dunze looks like he should be coming back. So there's a lot to like in this matchup, a lot of big plays that could be had, and there's a lot on the line. So I think that both of these teams are going to put their best foot forward, and there's also a huge rivalry here as well. Mm-hmm. The coach, Ben Johnson, really loves playing against the Packers and loves beating them. And so I think the Packers are going to take that into this consideration for this game too. And so these teams actually played each other 2 weeks ago, and the final score I think was like 24-21. So it was a close game. But I expect this game to score even more points and for it to still be close as well. So yeah, I think this could be one of the best matchups this week for fantasy football purposes and for playoff purposes. So if you've got guys like a Colston Loveland or even a Caleb Williams, I would suggest starting them for the Bears. Guys like Jordan Love is worth starting. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, start them. I think that there could be a lot of big plays that could be had in this game. So there you have it.
We'll see. My only question is which one is going to eat and which one is not going to eat. Obviously the Christian Watson injury is concerning. We'll see if he plays. He was hospitalized but did make the flight home, so that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, someone's going to eat. I just don't know who. So
it could be Jaden Reed too. You never know.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, good matchup. I don't know if I just automatically start all those guys, but
that's fair.
All right, we're going to move on to our next segment. This is the long shot lineup. We'll go over a quarterback, running back, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. These are guys who are not necessarily the best at each position, the worst at each position, not necessarily even sleepers, just guys who we think might perform well and aren't the best of the best in this position. David, do you want to go over your quarterback, or you want me to go first?
You go first. I'll follow.
All right, my Week 16 quarterback for the long shot lineup is none other than Jacoby Brissett.
Ooh.
Versus the Falcons, projected 18.88 fantasy points. I freaking love Jacoby. I love him. I love Jacoby Brissett, guys. And he was on my team, and he sucked during, just staying here with the Browns. But nonetheless, he has found a resurgence in Arizona and is looking fantastic. I mean, I've been talking about this dude since Week 7. If you're not already on board, I don't know what to tell you, to be honest. Here's a fun fact. Jacoby Brissett has been the quarterback 1 in every week that he's played in, according to Derek Brown of Fantasy Pros on Twitter. I mean, to put it in perspective, he's started the last 9 games for the Cardinals. In those 9 games, he's at 195.2 fantasy points, and is averaging 21.67 fantasy points per game. 21.67 fantasy points per game. That's crazy. That's really, really
wild,
good.
Yeah.
You know what's even crazier? Somehow he's only owned in 50% of leagues on Sleeper.
Wow.
What are you guys doing?
How many times do we have to talk about this?
Top 5 quarterback is available in half of the leagues on Sleeper during the playoffs. And guess what? The Cardinals have some pretty decent matchups. This week they play the Falcons, 14th overall defense. Then the Bengals, worst defense in the NFL. Then they play the Rams, 16th ranked passing defense. Another fun fact, last week they played the Texans, who are the best defense in the NFL. Jacoby went 27 of 40 for 249 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 21.56 fantasy points. He's the only quarterback to gain over 20 fantasy points against the Texans defense all year, who is the best defense in the NFL. Literally, what is wrong with you guys? Go add this dude. He's going to win people championships. He can win you a championship, and he's available in 50% of leagues. Jacoby Brissett is my Week 16 long shot lineup quarterback. Dude is a stud.
I like it. I actually even just went and checked.
I'm passionate, baby.
I love it. I just went and checked the fantasy league that I'm in the championship for, and he was not available. I would have picked him up on the spot, so you convinced me. But
there you go.
My quarterback for this week's long shot lineup would be Caleb Williams, actually. Somebody we just talked about in that Fireworks fantasy matchup. Believe it or not, if you had to guess, Mosser, what would you guess Caleb Williams' ranking is as a quarterback in fantasy football this year?
He's top 10. I'd say 10th.
Okay, he's number 9, so you're pretty close. He has actually had 4 number 1 finishes this year in fantasy football.
Nice.
So he's playing really well. And last time that these two teams played, he was the number 8 quarterback on the week. And I think that this week he's going to just continue doing that. He's been somebody that's been really sneaky this year. Somebody who's probably been a little bit more matchup bound for starting or not in leagues, but I think somebody that could thrive really well this week, get some of his receivers back, and do really well. So I would pick Caleb Williams up. I would start him if you got him this week. He could be somebody that could help you down the stretch and in the playoffs. I would start him. He last week against the Browns, for example, he went 27 of 28 for 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. So if that's a stat line that he puts up again this week or even more, he'll continue to put up good fantasy points and gives you a nice high floor, but maybe not the top ceiling, but a good high floor for playoffs, which would be
sure.
good.
And the Browns defense is one of the best in the NFL, and
it
is better than the Packers, who, yes, the Packers have a good defense, but definitely lost their best player this week as well. So,
for sure.
Yeah, so I can definitely see that happening. Go ahead and do your running back for the long shot lineup.
All right, my running back that I have this week is, are you ready for this? Audric Estime for the New Orleans Saints.
What?
Okay, so hear me out. Devin Neal just got ruled out for the game. So Alvin Kamara is still listed as questionable. They don't know if he's going to play this week. So there's really nobody else left but Audric Estime. So he is available in your league right now. I can guarantee it. So go pick him up, start him. Last week, for example.
Don't start him. What?
I would start him.
No.
Audric Estime, yes.
No. It's a championship week, guys. Go start Audric.
Go pick him up and start him. I'm
Continue. Sorry, I'll shut up.
All right, so he had 3 rushes last week for 11 yards, but he also caught 3 passes for 40 yards, so averaging 13 yards a catch. the Saints need somebody to do something in the running back position because right now everybody's out. And so I think Audric Estime is going to be somebody that's going to have to fill in and play. And he's shown that he can be productive in the passing game. They're playing the New York Jets this week. So, like, the team that's really playing for nothing. And if Audric Estime can go out and show out this week, he's going to give his NFL career a second life, a second chance, another opportunity for a team to pick him up next year. So I think that he could be a sneaky play this week, and I'm excited to see what happens. Come on, let me hear it.
Nothing. I just think he should have been more of a sleeper more than a long shot.
That's what the long shot lineup is, a long shot.
This is Uncle Rico throwing over the mountains there, buddy. All right. I'm going to go over my running back for this week. Long shot lineup week 16 is none other than TreVeyon Henderson versus the Ravens, projected 13.61 points. I really don't have to say much here. TreVeyon Henderson has taken the starting running back job from the Patriots and will never give it back to Ramondre Stevenson. It was only a matter of time, to be honest. They drafted him early in the second round for a reason. Stevenson got hurt week 8. Week 9, Henderson took over and has never looked back. 7 games started, ran the ball 100 times, 620 yards, 18 catches for 113 yards, and a receiving touchdown. 133.8 fantasy points. That averaged out to 19.11 fantasy points per game. Last week, Henderson had a great game versus the Bills, as David said. Ran the ball 14 times, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 13 yards, 34.10 fantasy points. Patriots have one of the most favorable matchups of the playoffs. I mentioned that earlier. They play the Ravens, 24th overall defense, then the Jets, 17th, and then the Dolphins, 19th overall defense. Like I said, this week they play the 24th ranked Ravens defense, who allows an average of 111.9 rushing yards per game. TreVeyon Henderson owners should be very happy having him in the playoffs. He's going to be great. He's my week 16 long shot lineup running back.
I like it. He had a great 65-yard run last week for a touchdown. That was really, really good.
Yeah, so. It wasn't the lead blocker Drake May as well? Like
it was.
Both of them. I saw both of them reach 20 miles per hour on that.
I did not see that.
Which was crazy. Insane. Yeah. So
wow.
Really cool play. Yeah. Hey.
If you got it, use it. All right, my wide receiver that I've got this week for the long shot lineup is somebody that's also been sneaky good this year, and I don't think people have realized it, but that is Jameson Williams, wide receiver for the Lions. So the last 6 weeks, he has had 5 finishes in the top 10, with 4 of them being in the top 5. He has honestly been on a tear, and people just aren't paying attention. One of the weeks in there, he actually did have like a big goose egg. So
sure,
just something you have to keep.
That's Jameson Williams.
Floor. Yes, boom or bust. But yeah, the last 3 weeks specifically, he has had 7 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown, 7 catches for 96 yards, 7 catches for 134 yards and a touchdown. So just has been absolutely on a tear. This week, he's going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Secondary that took the ball away a little bit last week, but I think when they play a better team like the Lions can be exploited and really taken advantage of by somebody with speed like Jameson Williams. And so I think that this could be a great matchup for him. They'll focus mostly on Amon-Ra St. Brown and shutting down those running backs, and somebody like Jameson Williams can really exploit that secondary and get behind them and score a lot of big plays. And so I'm excited to see what happens. Jameson Williams, I would definitely start this week against the Steelers.
There you go. That's a good one. That's a really good one. All right, my receiver for the long shot lineup, my first out of the 2, Tet McMillan, Tatoria McMillan versus the Buccaneers. 15.51 fantasy points, officially on my Pookie list for fantasy football.
He made it.
It's been a few weeks, but yeah, he's on there for sure. I got 3 from the rookie class this year, which is pretty fun. So
nice.
Yeah, Tet. I got Harold Fannin Jr. I got Tyler Warren. So, all right. Nobody cares about that though. So, yeah, Tet McMillan versus the Buccaneers. I mentioned many times. I love Tet McMillan. I love him. I think that he's going to be a future star in the league. That being said, it's no secret that he and Bryce Young, have struggled. I'm sorry, that Bryce Young has struggled to get in the ball the last few games. In his first 11 games, he's averaged 8 targets per game. In his last 3, though, however, he's averaged only 4 targets per game. The problem with Tet is that there's a pattern of him either getting a bunch of yards but no touchdowns, or he gets a few catches for a few yards but also scores a touchdown or two. There haven't been a few games, maybe one or two this season, where he's put it all together, where he gets the yards and also gets in the end zone. But those are definitely few and far in between. All of that to say, I think that this is the week that the Panthers offense figures out and gets Ted McMillan the ball early and often. They play the Buccaneers this week. Luckily for Ted McMillan, as entertaining as Tampa Bay is to watch, their pass defense is very, very bad. They're ranked 29th in the NFL, allowing 246.9 passing yards per game and 24 passing touchdowns this season. This is a major game in the NFL. Both the Panthers and the Buccaneers are 7-7 and tied for first place in the NFC South. There are major playoff implications here at stake. If the Panthers want to take control of their division, they'll have to take advantage against a bad Buccaneers passing defense and use their top 10 rookie receivers ready to show the world that he's a star. I have faith in him, and I think, he's going to get the yards and the touchdowns this week against a really, really bad secondary. So Ted McMillan is my first Week 16 long shot lineup receiver.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good pick. He's definitely shown the flashes there. And honestly, I think he's helped Bryce Young look actually competent as a quarterback this year.
Yeah. A first-round top 10 receiver will do that, though. So
Shocker. I hope Andrew Barry's listening.
Yeah.
That would be nice. All right, my second wide receiver that I've got for the long shot lineup is Michael Wilson. You just talked about how great Jacoby Brissett has been this year when he's played, and I think a huge part of that is because of Michael Wilson. Ever since Jacoby came onto the scene, Michael Wilson has really been an explosive player for fantasy football. Last week, he caught 5 passes on 11 targets for 54 yards and a touchdown. The week before that, he caught 11 passes out of 16 targets for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And so the dude's just been on a roll. I think at this point you got to keep riding the hot hand. He's going to continue to get those looks and those targets. The last 5 weeks alone, he's had 18 targets, 15 targets, 7 targets, 16 targets, and 11 targets. And so he's probably going to continue getting those double-digit targets. What he does with it, I think, is going to continue to get yards per catch and just keep climbing up there and have double-digit yards per catch on average. And so it's going to produce a lot of points. And if he can continue to do that, it's going to be great. They're going up against Atlanta this week, too, and they really have nothing to play for, and their secondary is not really that good. And so I expect Michael Wilson to really eat and do well. So I would start him. Good long shot player this week and also good for playoffs. So Michael Wilson, start him.
I don't hate that one, actually. Falcons do have a decent secondary, actually, 10th in the NFL right now, but not that great. But what I like is the fact that, Zonovan Knight is now out.
Yeah.
The running game is Trey Benson has not been active from IR. He is out for the season. Now they're going to rely on Michael Carter, who's spent most of the time on the practice squad, and maybe Amari DeMarco, who is just a guy who fumbles right before he scores a touchdown. So I don't know. So that's going to help out the passing game, not to mention that Marvin Harrison Jr. is still dealing with that heel injury. Trey McBride is going to get his, but Michael Wilson's probably going to get his too. So that's a really good pick, David.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, my second receiver for the long shot lineup, Week 16, is Jameson Williams.
Hey,
David had him as
great
well.
pick.
Thanks, man. Versus the Steelers, 14.05 points projected. I'm not sure what Dan Campbell and company told Jameson Williams during their bye week, Week 8, but he came out of that bye week a changed man. Before the bye in 7 games, 17 catches, 289 yards, and 2 touchdowns, only 60 fantasy points. After the bye in 7 games, so the same amount of time, 35 catches, 647 yards, 5 touchdowns, 135.5 fantasy points. He's had double the catches, more than double the yards, more than double the touchdowns, and more than double the fantasy points in the same amount of games as after his bye. That's an average of 19.4 fantasy points per game. It's clear that, when Sam Laporta went on IR, Jameson Williams definitely took his receptions. This week, the Lions played the Steelers. Pittsburgh has the 27th ranked passing defense in the NFL. They're not great at all. In his last 3 games, Williams, as David said, 21 catches, 374 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Steelers will have enough trouble trying to stop Amon-Ra St. Brown and to have to worry about Jameson Williams as well. Both guys, I think, are actually going to feast this week. I think Williams is going to pick up right where he left off last week, and that's why he's my second receiver for the long shot lineup this week.
Yeah, great pick. I'm not going to belabor the point. Great pick.
Yeah.
My tight end for this week is none other than the famous Kyle Pitts.
Great game. Finally.
I mean,
It took him 10 years.
He's just been on another level these last 3 weeks. So last week, absolutely just dominated the entire league. Had 11 catches on 12 targets for 166 yards and 3 touchdowns. Count them, 3. Just exploded. Had 45 fantasy points on the week. One of the just top players in fantasy football at all last week. So absolutely dominated. The 2 weeks before that, he had 6 catches on 10 targets for 90 yards and 7 catches on 8 targets for 82 yards. Obviously he's going to be a big part of their offense moving forward this week, going up against Arizona. I know that Drake London should be coming back, but it looks like even if Drake London does come back, Kyle Pitts has demanded attention and targets from this offense. He's been somebody that could be relied upon and has just shown explosive playmaking like he did his first rookie year, and really has just been quiet since then. So, yeah, at this point, if you have Kyle Pitts, I would start him. He's just been on a tear as a tight end. He's still only 25 years old, so still really in his prime. It should be really helpful for this playoff push that you got. So, Kyle Pitts, start him.
Start everyone, David.
I like them all.
I would start Kyle Pitts, though. You're right. This guy, I probably wouldn't start, but I'm going to talk about him anyway. My tight end for the long shot lineup is Colby Parkinson versus the Seahawks. Projected 9.26 fantasy points. Some of y'all are saying, who the hell is that guy? Let me tell you about him, okay? Last year the Rams signed Parkinson to a 3-year, $22.5 million contract. Last year, his first year with the Rams, he was pretty underutilized. In his 17 games, 2024, only 30 catches for 294 yards and 1 touchdown. This year, in only 12 games, he has 31 catches, 298 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So already more yards and way more touchdowns and less games. 5 less games. Definitely surpassed his performance in 2024. I specifically want to talk about his last 6 games, though. Since week 10, Parkinson has had 22 catches, 230 yards, 6 touchdowns, 81 fantasy points. Nearly all of his stats from the year have been since week 10. Last week versus the Lions, he had 5 catches, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 24.5 fantasy points. The Seahawks have a decent pass defense. They're ranked 11th overall so far this season. However, they specifically struggled against the tight end this year. They ranked 22nd against the tight end this season. 91 catches, 952 yards, and 5 touchdowns, all to tight ends this year. I think that this could be a sneaky matchup this week. I look for Colby Parkinson to benefit from that matchup, probably score another touchdown. Like I said, 6 touchdowns in his last 6 games, 2 last week. Why not? He's my long shot lineup tight end this week.
Yeah, I like it. And I think especially if Devontae Adams is out, that would be a great red zone target for him. So, yeah, that's great. My flex for this week is none other than old man Mike Evans. Somebody who's just been battling injury all year and honestly could have just been a forgotten piece of fantasy football. But last week, he came back from injury, played the Arizona Cardinals, and had 6 catches on 12 targets for 132 yards. So pretty good. Good wide receiver that Baker Mayfield is going to need and the Tampa Bay offense is going to need if they are trying to make for a push for the playoffs. And so they're going up against Carolina this week, and I expect that Mike Evans will be a big focal point for that offense. He hasn't scored any touchdowns this year. I lied. He scored 1 touchdown this year. But if he can continue to catch some passes that are touchdowns this week, I expect him to just continue to do well and really shoot up into the top 10, maybe even top 5 for wide receivers this week. It's a sneaky play, but I like it, and I think the potential's there. So, Mike Evans, go get him if you can.
Yeah. Someone commented, Coco Fosho, Burrow or Stafford? I'm going Stafford there. I'm not touching Burrow right now. Stafford plays the Seahawks. Yeah, they have I think this is 11th overall pass defense right now, but I really like the Rams offense. Obviously, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams if he does play, but if not, Colby Parkinson might have some stats there, and then obviously Kyron Williams mixed with Blake Corum. I'm gonna go with Stafford there. David, what say you?
Yeah, I would go Stafford too. I think pretty much a lot of the reasons that we said earlier about Joe Burrow for the Hunks and Skunks. He's just seems to be in his head and dealing with a lot of things that are not so focused on football. And I mean, I can't really blame him right now. The Bengals just suck and don't really look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. So, yeah, Stafford, on the other hand, might be on the best team in the NFL. So,
Yeah.
I would go with Stafford.
Yep. All right. Going back to the long shot lineup. Thank you, Coco, for that comment. Appreciate you, brother. My flex for the long shot lineup is none other than Mike Evans versus the Panthers, same as David. He's back. That was corny. This season has been a disappointment for Mike Evans owners. Let's be real. Yes, he's 32, but he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer. And it's known that, one of his main objectives for the Buccaneers was to make sure that Evans continued a streak of 1,000-yard seasons, which was 11 seasons in a row. That's really, really crazy. 11 seasons in a row, fantasy football owners who've had Mike Evans has had at least 1,000 yards. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So many went into this season thinking that, clearly the wide receiver one for Baker, Baker for at least one more season as Emeka Egbuka worked to emerge as a top receiver. He would do something, but those dreams were shattered with injury that he sustained week 3. Then when he's healthy enough to play week 7, he hurts himself again. So it's just been a very, very bad year, like I said, for owners. Well, finally he came back last week and just in time for fantasy football playoffs. And if you made it and you have Mike Evans on your team, congratulations, because that dude did not disappoint, excuse me. Only 32% of leagues started him, actually, which is interesting. I did not start him in 2 of my leagues. I owned him in twice and I did not start him, but hey, I still won. That's okay. Last week, 6 catches on 12 targets, 132 yards, 20.7 fantasy points. It's a rough realization that 68% of Mike Evans owners had him on the bench last week. Like I said, myself included, but there was an undeniable worry that he was going to start off slow from injury. And that's completely reasonable, I think. He no longer can sit on the bench, though. I think he's the clear wide receiver one for Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the remainder of the year. On a team that's hopeful for the playoffs. This week they play the Panthers. Carolina's ranked 18th in the NFL. They allow an average of 212.4 passing yards per game and 16 total passing touchdowns this season. Mike Evans has a great opportunity to score some points this season. Honestly, for the rest of the year, as long as he stays healthy, he's got to be a flex. He's got to be a start. So,
yep, I love it. Glad we're on the same page today.
Yeah. Not unlike us, unlike that was an Audric Esme pick.
Hey, okay, just try.
Hey, I've eaten my word. I've eaten my words before. Real quick, got another comment. Ray Gamer, start 2 wide receivers in a non-PPR standard, 6 point per touchdown. Okay, Jefferson versus the Giants, Sutton versus the Jags, or Reed versus the Bears, or Egbuka versus Carolina.
I actually love the Jefferson versus New York Giants matchup this week. Monster's looking at me like, no.
I hate JJ McCarthy so much.
I don't think he's spectacular, but the last couple of weeks he's actually looked pretty good, and so I think that Jefferson could definitely take advantage of that beat up Giants defense. And I would honestly probably go with Jaden Reed versus the Bears. So.
She said 2. I would not do Jaden Reed personally. Like I said, I'm just concerned about which one is going to eat that week. Give me Jefferson, give me Sutton. I know the Jags defense is decent, but they have Greg Newsome on their team and he sucks. So hopefully Sutton's covered by him. So Raul commented Judy or Josh Gordon. That's funny. Then one more quick comment. Appreciate all the comments, guys. Burrow or Lamar in a 6-point PPR. So, brother,
go pick somebody up off the waivers. Like, I don't even care who it is.
It's like choosing how you want to die.
Go pick somebody up. It doesn't matter. Tyler Shuck, like anybody. Go pick them up.
I guess Burrow if you can't, but I would not like either of those guys.
Yeah.
All right. Going into our next segment, this is the legacy lineup. We'll just do a quarterback, receiver, running back, and tight end. These are guys who we think are going to score be the highest scorers in each position this week. This is not betting advice or for DFS necessarily. This is just for fun. Let's get into it, David. I'll go first with the quarterback. My quarterback is Justin Herbert versus the Cowboys. Projected 21.4 on fantasy points. Justin Herbert's another guy who's been struggling lately. I'm not going to lie. Last 4 games, 56-93, 581 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Only 43.24 fantasy points. He's honestly been pretty awful. Despite all that, the Chargers are still 10-4 and are in contention to make the playoffs. This week, luckily for Justin Herbert, the Chargers play the Cowboys. Thank God they play the Cowboys. The Cowboys ranked dead last in the NFL in allowing pass yards, 255.2 yards, also 29 passing touchdowns. That's major news. It's just the game for the Charger offense to mend some wounds and against such a bad defense. Call me crazy because Herbert's looked awful the last few games, and I'm taking him and his high-powered offense against the worst passing defense in the NFL. Justin Herbert for the Cowboys is my Week 16 legacy lineup.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good pick. I'm going to go with somebody that everybody should be starting now. That is Drake May. He's going up against the beat-up Baltimore Ravens, who honestly just look like they have no fight left in them.
Yeah.
That defense is really, really not great. I think Drake May just came off of a really great performance and still lost, and so I think he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and go out there with trying to prove something. I expect him to hit Hunter Henry and Stephon Diggs really a lot this game, and probably even rush in a few touchdowns as well, like he did last week. And so Drake May, I think, should just dominate and absolutely explode this week for a ton of points. So I like that.
Yeah, I love Drake May. He's so
too.
good. All right, my running back, Devin Achane versus the Bengals, 24.67 fantasy points. I talk about him all the time. I love him. He's not Pookie status because I don't own him in any league, unfortunately. But I just love him. Last week versus Steelers, 12 rushes for 60 yards, 6 catches, 67 yards. He's been pretty much the only consistent thing going for the Dolphins offense in 2025. Now, Tua's bench. I think Quinn Ewers is starting. I think Tua's been demoted to the third string, which is insane.
Crazy.
Nonetheless, Devin Achane is still the bright spot on that team. Currently ranked as the 5th overall running back this season, which is right on par with ranking last season, as he was 5th overall running back in 2024 as well. He's a machine that seems to be unstoppable and can overcome a bad offense. That's clear. This week they play the Dolphins play the Bengals. They should be owners of Achane should be licking their chops at this one for sure.
Yep.
Like definitely. I mean, the Bengals have the worst rushing defense in the NFL. Logically, one would think that a top 5 running back will have a great game against the worst rushing defense in the NFL, especially when they're starting Quinn Ewers, who has not looked great in his time so far playing. But we'll see. So Achane's he's gonna do good, but he's gonna feast. Yep. So that's why he's my Week 16 legacy lineup running back.
Yeah, and he's already somebody who has a high volume carry anyway, and now that they're starting a rookie quarterback, I think it's going to be even more. So it's a great pick. My pick is James Cook, running back for the Buffalo Bills. As of the last few weeks, the Cleveland Browns defense that was really good against the run and the pass has now kind of given way to not caring about the run as much, maybe is the best way of putting it. I think this defense is still really good and still really competitive, but they have given up some really explosive plays, even going back 2 weeks ago to the Titans with Tony Pollard. This past week against the Bears, DeAndre Swift scored against them a couple times, I think. And so, yeah, the run seems to be a weakness in this Browns defense, and I think James Cook, who has just been really a huge focal point for that Buffalo Bills offense, kind of been the motor for them, is going to take advantage of that and really score a lot of points. And so I think if you got James Cook, go ahead and start him. I think this Browns defense is really focused on one thing only, and that's getting Myles Garrett the sack record.
I agree.
Outside of that, I don't think anything else matters for them. So
yeah, they're not going to all out sell for the run. They're going to try to get Myles that record. So that's a great pick. My receiver for this is the legacy lineup. Sorry, it's getting late, as you can tell. Is Amon-Ra St. Brown versus the Steelers. Projected 20.03 fantasy points. I just talked about Jameson Williams earlier, and for good reason. He's been playing out of his mind. Like I said, especially his last 7 games, ranking as a 12th overall wide receiver. But you know who's even better than Jameson Williams? The true wide receiver 1 for the Lions and the 3rd ranked fantasy receiver in 2025, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God. This season, ARSB has 94 catches for 1,140 yards and 11 touchdowns. He's been ranked the wide receiver 3 for the last 3 seasons. So just incredibly consistent. What an animal. Last week versus the Rams, 16th ranked passing defense. He got 13 of 18 targets for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns, 42.90 fantasy points. This week, as I mentioned earlier, they play the Steelers, who have the 27th ranked passing defense, which is much, much worse. The Steelers are very bad, especially in the defense. The Lions should dominate throughout the air this week. I'm around Amon-Ra St. Brown will be the main benefactor. He's going to light it up. He is my legacy lineup receiver.
I like it. It's a great pick. My wide receiver for the legacy lineup is the second wide receiver on the year, and that is Puka Nacua. With the reports of Devonta Adams being questionable, I think that this is a week that Puka Nacua is just going to feast. Last week he had 9 catches on 11 targets for 181 yards. The week before that, he had 7 catches on 11 targets for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. And so he's just been somebody who's been on fire, an absolute tear this whole season. And I think that's going to continue. They're playing the Seattle Seahawks, matchup we talked about earlier, teams that are both at 11-3, looking to try and lock in that top spot in the NFC playoff picture, lock in that bye. And I think Puka Nacua is going to be a big benefactor of that and a big focal point for this offense moving forward. So start Puka Nacua. He's going to just dominate.
I agree. Yeah, clearly start Puka Nacua. All right, go into your tight end.
All right, my tight end that I've got this week would be actually kind of somebody who might be a little bit of a sleeper, but that would be Tyler Warren for the Colts.
He's never a sleeper. He's amazing. I love him.
He's great. He's absolutely a stud. I think maybe Phillip Rivers has shown that he can still sling it, and so I think Tyler Warren, who's been coming off of a couple of low weeks, might be set up for success here going up against San Francisco. San Francisco gives up a lot of points to fantasy tight ends, and so I think somebody who's averaged 7-6 targets the last couple of weeks could do really well. I expect there to be some screen setups for him, some really good opportunities in the red zone to get some good matchups for him, and somebody that could dominate. And so, yeah, Tyler Warren, I think, could have a really awesome week, and I would definitely start him or draft him in your DFS week, in your DFS drafts. So.
And fun fact about Tyler Warren is he is the second string or reserve quarterback for the week behind Phillip Rivers. So if Old Man Rivers goes down, well, he was an all-state quarterback in high school, and obviously, a gadget man in college at Penn State, played a little bit of quarterback in practice.
I do remember that, yeah.
As allegedly the backup quarterback if Old Man Rivers goes down. So you never know. You don't want to root for injury, but maybe they'll have him sling the ball around as well. So.
And who knows? Maybe they'll do some wildcat plays in there too.
Yeah.
So.
It's a good pick. Mine is the clear tight end one for the year for Trey McBride. He's on my pick list. Love the dude. Versus the Falcons, projected 19.24 fantasy points. Big shocker. Like I said, the tight end one is in my legacy lineup for week 16. You're damn right he is. I love him.
You're damn right he is.
He's having a legendary year. It's been so fantastic. He's proven that, he's pretty much quarterback proof with his production with Kyler Murray under the helm. And he's proven that with a top performing quarterback, as I talked about in Jacoby Brissett, he's just as dominant as well. In 14 games, he's got 105 of 140 targets for 1,071 yards and 10 touchdowns. 10 touchdowns.
Wow.
To put that in perspective, 2024, he was the tight end too. So last year, 111 catches, 1,146 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. He's about to match the catches and yards from last season. It's probably this game, and he already has 8 more touchdowns in 2024 than 2024. Excuse me. This week the Cardinals play the Falcons. Atlanta has a pretty decent passing defense. I'm not going to lie. They rank 10th of the year so far. They allow an average of 195.6 passing yards per game and 23 passing touchdowns so far this year. Trey McBride has proven time and time again that regardless of what defense he's playing against him, he's going to produce. Even last week versus the Texans, who have the best defense in the NFL, McBride caught 12 passes for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns, almost had 40 fantasy points against the best defense in the NFL. That should continue this week against the Falcons. He's a tight end one for a reason. Give me Trey McBride all day, every day.
Yeah, stud, absolute stud. All right, we got our last segment here, our sleepers and our creepers. Let's just get through these.
Let's do it.
We're running late. So my sleepers that I've got this week, I've only got 2, but the first one is Darren Waller, tight end for the Miami Dolphins. Somebody who just kind of exploded onto the scene last week, in all honesty. He caught 7 catches on 8 targets for 86. I lied, 66, my bad. 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked pretty dominant and looked pretty comfortable being a weapon in that offense and somebody that quarterback can rely on. And I think moving forward, since Quinn Ewers is going to be the rookie quarterback, starting quarterback for them, he's going to really rely on his tight ends. And so I think Darren Waller could continue to see an increase in targets and an increase in looks in the red zone and potential touchdowns. So I like that matchup, and I like adding him off the waiver wire if you can.
Yeah, that's a sneaky pick too because they play the Bengals this week, who have the worst defense in the NFL, and then as I talked about earlier, they play the Buccaneers as well, and they do not have a good pass defense as well. So I think, like you said, Quinn Ewers is definitely going to look for that safety blanket, and Darren Waller has been that guy historically in his career. So it's a good pick.
Thank you.
Go ahead and do your second sleeper.
My second sleeper is none other than Jayden Reed. Somebody who has just been kind of flying under the radar. I really like the guy. He's really talented. And I think that he's going to continue to be a big focal point for this offense. He's really done like nothing all year but battle injury. But when he came back last week, he caught 5 catches on 6 targets and averaged 11 yards a catch for 55 yards. So there's potential there. I think his snap count will continue to increase. I think his targets will continue to increase. And they're going up against a Chicago team that is pretty good, but may focus on other players like a Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs and shutting down Josh Jacobs. And so somebody like Jayden Daniels could kind of give the offense a little bit of a spark that they need.
Jayden Reed.
Jayden Reed, thank you. What did I say? Jayden Daniels?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a wide receiver. So
no, you're good. Yeah, I like Jayden Reed a lot. I also have liked him a lot coming out. The question I always have with him is the percentage that he is on the field is very concerning. 2024, he averaged about only 50% of the game he's on the field. He was just incredibly underutilized, but when he was on the field, he produced. So, he's on the field 47%, 65%. That's still averaging about 50. Still has me concerned. He needs to be on the field a lot more because the dude, like you said, he's a great receiver. I just don't understand why the Packers do not put him in more, especially with their woes in that position, with injuries. So.
Yeah, well, and if they're not going to use him, trade him to the Cleveland Browns. We'll take him.
Yeah, all we need is another short slot receiver.
But we can't get enough.
Yeah. All right, my sleeper, I'll go into him real quick. I talked about him earlier, Colby Parkinson. He's only owned in 8% of leagues on sleeper. I won't go into too much detail. Like I said, since week 10, 22 catches, 230 yards, and 6 touchdowns, 81 fantasy points. Nearly all the stats of the year have been in the last 6 weeks. Last 3 weeks, he's had at least 5 targets, which is also great. Last week, 5 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. At only 8% owned, he's definitely worth the stash, especially in dynasty leagues. I would go pick him up for my first sleeper. My second sleeper, Michael Carter, running back for the Cardinals, only owned in 11% of leagues right now. It's no secret that the Cardinals' backfield has been, confusing and annoying at times. I talked about that earlier as well. James Conner, Trey Benson, Amari DiMarco, Zonovan, Bam Knight, and now Michael Carter. At no point were you confident who was a starter after Conner and Benson went down after the season. Bam Knight, who was the starter last week and sustained a, quote, bad ankle injury, in his place, Michael Carter took the majority of the snaps. Carter had 14 rushes for 56 yards, 4 catches, 38 yards. DeMarcado had 1 rush for 1 yard and 2 catches for 0 yards. As unreliable as I mentioned that the Cardinals' backfield is, I'm going to have to take an educated guess and say that Michael Carter will continue to have the workload, especially since Bam Knight is leaning towards not playing and has the bad ankle injury. I will warn you that the last time fantasy community this year thought that Michael Carter was going to start, the Cardinals used Carter all week for practice, and then on the last second before the game, cut him and put him on the practice squad, and then Mario DiMarcado got the start. I don't think that would be the case, but I would still use caution. But for a guy that's only rostered 11% of leagues and a potential Week 16 starting running back, that I'd add him just to block someone else from grabbing him, and you never know. This week they play the Falcons, 23rd in the rushing defense for the Falcons. A lot of opportunity here for the starting Cardinals running back to have a great game, and like I said, only 11% owned. I'd grab him for sure.
Yeah, I like that. It's risky, but could work out really well. All right, so sleepers that I've got, the creepers. Thank you, creepers that I've got this week. I've only got 2 again. First one would be Devin Singletary, running back for the Giants. Somebody that I hyped up, I think last week, maybe the week before that. Somebody who could do really well going down the stretch here. And then Tyrone Tracy said, "Yeah, you're an idiot. Don't listen to me." So, at this point, there's no point in rostering Devin Singletary. He's not going to be somebody who does anything for you fantasy-wise. Last week, he literally only had 5 carries and had 13 yards. So, yeah. Don't even roster him. Just cut him. Go pick up somebody else that we talked about, and I think it would be a better use of your time and use of your roster spot. So
there you go.
My second creeper that I've got is actually maybe somebody that's a little controversial, but I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs. Even when Patrick Mahomes was in and playing, Xavier Worthy was really not doing anything of consequence the last few weeks. Last week alone, he was the wide receiver 68 in the week, caught 2 passes for 35 yards. The week before that, caught 3 passes for 55 yards. And the week before that, caught 4 passes for 61 yards. Has not caught a touchdown since week 6, and has really just been not relevant at all in fantasy football. He's been somebody that I've really wanted to hold on to and see what could be there. But even with, what's his face, Rashee Rice, and not Rashee. I don't even know who I'm talking about. Thank you, Rashee Rice. Thank you. It's tired. I'm tired.
You're good.
It's been long. Rashee Rice being in potential concussion protocol and potentially not playing this week, I still don't think that Xavier Worthy will be somebody that will be a benefactor of him missing time. I think that he's really just become a one-trick pony of running straight down the field and beating everybody and hoping that Patrick Mahomes can throw it to him. But right now, I don't think Gardner Minshew can do that. I think Gardner Minshew will probably hit Travis Kelce a lot more than he will Xavier Worthy. So I'm fading on him. I actually just dropped him in one of the leagues that I'm in, and I'm not holding on to him for the fantasy football playoffs that I'm in. So
yeah. All right. Real quick. So Joe Bats on YouTube. Believe it or not, I'm in this situation. JT or Jamar Chase. So Jonathan Taylor or Jamar Chase. Both of them, I mean, Jamar Chase is going against Miami. They have the 12th ranked passing offense. And then Jonathan Taylor going against the 49ers also has the 12th ranked rushing defense. I'm going Jonathan Taylor there. I don't necessarily trust Joe Burrow right now. I'm unsure what he's going to do. And Jonathan Taylor, I think, is going to get his regardless. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'd go Jonathan Taylor too. At this point, I think the question isn't so much of what has a better matchup, but what team has more to play for, and that would be the Colts.
Sure.
So I think they're going to try and be as competitive as possible, and I think Jonathan Taylor will be a big part of that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that question, Joe Bats. All right, my first creeper going into Week 16, Devin Singletary. David also had the same one. He's owned in 49% of leagues. No problem, Joe. Appreciate you commenting, buddy. As I mentioned earlier, I talked about Tyron Tracy. It seems like Tracy's taking over the backfield and Singletary is getting left in the dust. David said it. 5 rushes, 13 yards, 1 catch for 1 yard last week for Singletary. 2.4 fantasy points. Tyron Tracy was exciting and productive last week versus the Commanders, scoring 2 of their touchdowns. I expect him to continue that. So. Go ahead and cut Singletary. He's done. He's dead in the water. And then my second creeper for this week is none other than Jerry Jeudy. Guy is buns. He sucks. I'm so tired of him.
Oh my God.
I'm a Browns fan. I hate Jerry Jeudy. 59% of leagues own this guy. He once again finds himself on the creeper list because dude sucks. And you know why? He's garbage. I don't know. He's buns. He can't catch anything. He can't catch anything. It's stupid, dude. He's 51st ranked receiver in 2025 as the Browns' top option. Absolutely embarrassing. 40 catches, 519 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the most drops in the NFL. Just continues to drop. Here's a touchdown. Nope, sorry. I'm just going to drop it. Dude sucks.
And give it to the other team.
It's ridiculous. In the 15 weeks as a Brown, he's just bad, dude. He's a joke. Just cut him. I'm done. I don't even want to talk him anymore. I'm so tired of Jerry.
I don't want you to talk about him anymore.
I'm out of my freaking city. Real quick, Robert, he commented, said Kenneth Walker or Keenan Allen in the flex. David, go ahead and answer that one.
I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker for that one. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't really like both of their matchups this week, and I think Kenneth Walker just probably has more potential to score points. But
yeah, I agree. I don't know. Keenan Allen's been struggling lately as well. He was lighting it up at the beginning of the season, but as Herbert struggled, Keenan Allen's been struggling, and Ladd McConkey's been stepping up as a wide receiver 1 there as well. Obviously, Quentin Johnson is on the mend right now. We're not sure if he's going to play, so that's something to watch. But I'm going to go with the running back there for sure. So,
yep.
All right, guys, that was the podcast. There are almost 200 live viewers right now. We're so grateful for you guys. watching every single week. Where I mean, the last 2 weeks, David has stepped up and took over just because I had some family issues. And I'm so grateful for him. He did a wonderful job. Thank you guys for being here for him as well, and just continuing week after week to make this show awesome. Once again, we are sponsored by the Inside Edge Network and LVP Productions, and then MonsterMomentsPhotography.com, a husband and wife photography team based out of Cleveland who specializes in weddings. Check them out at MonsterMomentsPhotography.com. That's MOSSOR MomentsPhotography.com. A major thank you to my co-host David Cahoon. Follow him at David Cahoon24. My name is Ryan Mosser. Follow me on Twitter at DynastyCLE. This has been the Commissioner's Couch podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at the Commissioner's Couch, and thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all. All right. We'll see you. Pretty sure next Wednesday. We'll talk about it. Holidays are coming up, but yeah. I think we'll still plan for next Wednesday at 9:00 live. So make sure to be here, guys. Fantasy season's coming to an end very, very soon, and then draft season comes. We're probably going to take a break after the season ends a little bit, but then during the summer we're going to put together some fun stuff. We're going to do some mock drafts, have some viewers on, do some mock drafts. We're going to do some player profiles going into the draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really so really, really grateful for you guys sticking around with us, and we will see you next Wednesday at 9:00.
And good luck in your playoffs.
Yeah, guys, go dominate, win some championships here. So, all right, I'm tired. I got to go see my wife. See ya.
Night, guys.